Welcome to the Southern Voice Rock Show. Here's your host, Jim Harris.
If you enjoy rock stories, this is going to be the perfect episode for you. Mike Estes is with us. Mike was with Lynyrd Skynyrd, Blackfoot, the Artimus Pyle Band, and has been fronting Skinny Molly for about the last 20 years. Alan Walden is with us, and he's going to share a story about a run-in between his band, the Outlaws, and the Hells Angels. So, let's get started. We want to welcome to the Southern Voice Rock Show, Mike Estes. Mike, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Let's jump right in. So, you were born actually in a coal mining part of Kentucky, right?
Yeah, Whitley County.
For most Southern rockers, you have to be born in Macon or Jacksonville. You are the exception to the rule, right?
Yeah. Well, Jay was born in, Jay, our guitar player, Jay Johnson, he's born in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, but I guess that's approved ground as well.
That one gets an exemption.
Yeah, so it should. But, yeah, there's, hell, Ed King was born in Los Angeles, California, so.
He definitely was made an honorary Southern rocker.
Oh, man, he owned it. He was some of the southernest playing of anybody to me.
Before we get into your days with Skynyrd, I want to back up and talk a little bit about the history that you had with the band before you ever walked on stage as a member of Lynyrd Skynyrd. There's a story that's made the rounds quite a few times that you actually had a early band of yours that was named because you cold called Alan Collins and asked him for a recommendation. Is that any truth to that?
Yeah, what happened was there was a friend of mine who found a Jacksonville, Florida phone book, and I called Craig Reed. We were just in high school, and we were called 100 Proof. And some other band was called 100 Proof, and they had a trademark on it. They threatened to sue us, so we had to get another name. So I called that number out of that phone book to see if anybody had any cool names laying around. And Craig Reed called Alan Collins on a three-way call while I was on the call, and he said, Hell and High Water. It was like a girl's name, spell it like a girl's name, Hell and High Water. He said, you can have it. So I played under that name for a long time, till I joined Skynyrd, I guess.
Well, I'm going to guess that there aren't a lot of bands that can say they got their name from Alan Collins.
No, probably not. And then there was another Hell and High Water running around with that, spelling it the way we did. It was a bluegrass outfit. I didn't raise a stink about it or nothing, but I might yet.
Well, now I've heard that not only did Alan from time to time sit in with your band when you guys were able to cross paths, but also that you got a once-in-a-lifetime guitar lesson from Alan Collins. That's
true. We opened for Alan's band in Jacksonville, and Alan sat in with my band in Jacksonville, and I went over to Alan's house before all that one Easter Sunday, 1983. I'll never forget it. And he showed me how to play Freebird. Like, I had a lot of it, but I didn't have it all correct, you know. And he said, well, you got a good enough chunk of it, and I'll show you the rest of it. So he showed me most of the difficult parts that I didn't really have, so, which are still difficult to this day. Yeah. I got lessons like that from him and even Gary and Ed King. And those guys were always cool about, all of them were always cool about showing you something if you wanted to know it. It's like one day I asked Gary, we were on the road, I said, show me how you play that intro to your solo on Call Me the Breeze, just for the hell of it. They'd show you whatever you wanted to know.
That's some pretty awesome teachers there, isn't it?
Yeah.
How did you end up getting connected with, was it Gary and Ed that really kind of opened the door for your years in Skynyrd?
Well, yeah, it was because I was a friend of Alan's, the other guys kind of accepted me and friends with Alan and Craig, and and I've got to be friends with all the crew guys around, and so I was just kind of in the loop, and then when a spot came open, I've been writing for Ed King's publishing company for almost a year. I've been on the road with him writing a lot and recording stuff on the road as well. And a spot come open and I knew the song, so it was just pretty much that easy.
So you were there for about 3 years. How was life on the road with Lynyrd Skynyrd as it was in, 93 to 96?
It was insane.
I bet it was.
It was insane. It was, looking back at it now, I'd do it different, but it was because I do it different these days.
Well, now that the statute of limitations has probably expired on most of what y'all did back in that day, any stories you feel like you want to share?
Well, one of my favorite ones, and not everybody can get this. You really got to know Ed to know how funny this was. One time we left him at a truck stop. The deal was, if you're going inside the truck stop, you leave your key or your pass on the driver's seat so he knows you're in there in case he's not at the bus. So Ed went in there to relieve himself, as it were. And when I was sitting I was riding shotgun in the jump seat, and we're pulling away, and I hear screaming, and I look in the side view mirror, and here come Ed with his pants around his ankles, running out of the dadgum bathroom at some 76 truck stop, yelling, "Wait, wait!"
Life on the road, huh?
He heard the bus pulling away and jumped up off the toilet and come hauling it, with his breeches around his ankles. So that was pretty funny.
I don't know if we should be thankful that there wasn't video that everybody had back then, or if we should wish there had been.
Man, I took a camera on the road after that incident. I wish that I'd had it on film so bad I couldn't believe it. But I mean, I've got some other stuff that's equally embarrassing. So,
well, there's no chance that they have any stories on you, though, right?
Well, define story. Yeah, they probably do. I was pretty tame actually on the road. I didn't really. There was, some goings on, you could say, but I was pretty tame and didn't get into too much trouble on the road with Skynyrd, but there was lots of trouble to get into if you had a mind to, believe me.
I can only imagine. Well, listen, your wife was a backup singer. Did you all meet because of you connecting with Skynyrd, or were you all connected before then?
Yeah, that's how we met. She got hired, and I had been out riding with him, and she and I met in Atlanta at the first gig she was on, live at the Fox thing that was going on. It was before I was in the band, but I was out writing and stuff with him. So, but yeah, that's where we met. She got hired to sing backup, and like all good stories, we were both, how should I say, tied to others, as it were.
I got you.
Yeah, so, but, we stayed married for a long time, and she's still one of my best buddies I've got, and she's my neighbor. She's my next door neighbor. She's the next house on the left down there. So, we got divorced, but we didn't move far from each other.
Before we get off of Ed King, the last time I checked, Carter's Rare Guitars in Nashville had the Strat that he played the intro and the solo from Sweet Home Alabama on the original recording, and it was $450,000. Have you maybe thought about going and picking that up?
If I'd have been one of the writers on Sweet Home Alabama, I would. Yeah, no, it was, I'd heard it was down there. I know that Strat, I've played it before. Back when Ronnie Van Zant's nephew had it for a while. And then it kind of made the pawn shop rounds for a while. And I forget how they tracked it down, but they did track it down, and that is the Strat. I believe it's a 3-bolt, like 72 or 3 Strat, something like that.
Wow, I wish it was mine.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded great. He told me he played it through a Marshall, which is pretty amazing, because he said he used Alan's Marshall as an amp on that, which is really clean sounding.
So, Mike, how did you come to make your exit from Lynyrd Skynyrd?
Oh, man, that was a whole bunch of shit that probably shouldn't have happened. Ed was sick. He had bad heart trouble. And they had made a deal with Ed, Gary and Ed had, that they were going to get a replacement guitarist for Ed. He'd basically just stay home, play on the records, because the doctor told him he needed to get a heart transplant, that he shouldn't be on the road. So we had Huey Thomason from the Outlaws taking his place, but Huey was going to go back to the Outlaws at that time. Me and Ed came up with Randy Peake, who ended up playing with me in Blackfoot later on. We got him to agree to be Ed's stand-in, and Ed would, continue to play on recordings. Well, for whatever reason, Gary changed his mind about that deal and called me about it. I told him it wasn't, really my business. And so the next thing I knew, me and Ed were both gone. So on the same day, I don't know. Ed King gave me the first break I ever had in the music business. Much as I loved playing with Skynyrd and stuff, if it wasn't for him giving me an opportunity.
After that, you spent some time with the Southern Rock All-Stars and a little bit of time with Artimus Pyle. Is that right?
Yeah, man, that was good times. I still run into Artie every now and then on the road, and we have done shows together with my band and his band. And I think I was in that band for 4 years, in Artie's band, and I was with the All-Stars. It was kind of on and off. I had my own band going, which was more of a country thing, which I'm going to be reviving soon. And I was playing with all kinds of people. I was, a hired gun to play with these different groups of Southern rock gatherings that they'd get up. And it was kind of a hectic but fun time. But I love playing with the All-Stars. Me and Jackson Spires, the drummer, got to be great friends. And me and Lou Beck, of course, started Skinny Molly. And now Jay Johnson's been in it since 2008.
You and Lou Beck started Skinny Molly probably, almost 20 years ago?
It'll be 20 years and 24. We started it. I think we got the idea for it in December of 2003, and then we actually committed to it, decided to do it in January of 2004. So, yeah, it's true 20 years.
Not too long after that, went back to Molly Hatchet.
He stayed around like a year and a half, and he needed to go back to Hatchet. That's what he should have done. I wasn't bad about that at all. That's what he should have done. He should have been there the whole time as far as I was concerned. So,
during the Skinny Molly years, you also did a couple of years in Blackfoot.
Yeah, I did. That was some of the most fun I've ever had in a band, was playing with Greg T and Charlie and Kurt and Blackfoot. We had a hell of a good time. That was a good run and a really good band, and man, it was fun. I had some of the best times of my life playing in Blackfoot. It was over entirely too quick.
I mean, needless to say, Blackfoot has put out a lot of great music over the years.
Yeah, definitely.
How did Jay Johnson get into Skinny Molly? I mean, for those that don't know, Jay's dad is Jimmy, one of the original Swampers.
Yeah, Jay, I'd known Jay from the All-Stars. When Dave went back to Molly Hatchet, we had a guy that was from England named Chris, and he played guitar. Then when the All-Stars kind of split up, so Dave called me looking for a gig. And I said, I don't have anything really going, but I could get something going. And me and Kurt, we were working on a country thing, and we just decided to form Skinny Molly with Dave and take a one-off tour through Scandinavia, basically. And that one-off tours turned into 20 years. So it ain't ended up like it was starting out to be. We were just going to do one-off tour Scandinavia in 2004 and then do something else. We hadn't had any plans of doing original stuff or anything. We were just playing Skynyrd and Hatchet covers. And we'd play, a Skynyrd one, I'd sing it. Then we'd play a Hatchet one, and Dave would sing it. We alternated them, and it was a pretty fun set. But that's as far as what we were going to take it to do. Then next thing, for whatever reason, I started bringing in some songs I'd put together that were kind of Southern rock. So we started doing them with Dave. I've even got Dave on the recording. Then we turned it from a covers band into a mostly original thing. So we still play some covers, but we're playing covers that we want to play.
You brought up something that's pretty interesting. Scandinavia seems to be a really hot spot for American Southern rock and roll. Doc Holliday, I was talking with Eddie Stone, and they're still hugely popular. They played that big rock fest there, the one with 350,000 people. They played that a couple of times, and they tour there and they sell out continuously. How do you explain the connection of Southern rock in Scandinavia?
Well, with Scandinavia, there's a, God, for lack of a better term, there's like a hot rod culture. People that like to drive American cars from the 40s up through the 70s. And they have these car clubs. And these are pretty big clubs. I mean, half of a town will be in this car club. You can be in a town in Finland and see 30 muscle cars you wish you'd had on a Saturday night.
Really?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I mean, in a small town of about 4,000 or 5,000, and you'll see, half the town is out with their hot rods. This goes on in Norway. It goes on to a lesser extent in Denmark, but it also goes on in Sweden. And they've got car clubs, and they also have a pretty big motorcycle culture. And as anybody could tell you, bikes and Southern rock just seem to go together. I mean, they genuinely like this music. They're not liking it because they're supposed to. They genuinely like the lifestyle and the music that goes with it. And it's a cool thing to see. I've got a bunch of guys that are friends over there that put on bike festivals that hire us, and we do a lot of them. Scandinavia we're going back to this year, or next year, because we're doing a tour that's for the 20-year thing. We're going to hit every country we've ever played, hopefully. So, yeah, there's a lot of them.
Well, that explains something I've been wondering about. Our podcast, we do very well in the United States, but we also are on the charts in Finland.
Finland, yeah, I'm telling you. That's basically the first country, not that I played in Europe, but the first that I kind of got an audience with. And it was astounding. The country's got like not even 6 million people in it. And it's a lot of water and a lot of woodlands. And it's one of the most beautiful places. I don't want to talk it up because I don't want to go there next year and then there'll be 10 million people there. It's absolutely the gem of Europe, the secret gem. It's just the whole culture's killer. The food's awesome. It's really, really, really good. And an old Southern rocker can get along just fine in Finland. But yeah, I believe that you're doing well. There's a lot of bike clubs over there, a lot of hot rod clubs over there. And yeah, I totally get it.
Well, now it makes sense. Well, listen, you just mentioned your tour. You guys just got back from Europe a few days ago. Those of us that are not in the business, we all think that tours are like you see in the movies. And I think it maybe doesn't pan out exactly like that, especially after what you were telling me about your last tour. What was the series of events on y'all's last European stretch?
Okay, so first thing that happened was our bus blew up. We've had it for 15 years. It's old Mercedes Sprinter, an XXL. She's long and tall. And she gave up the ghost. We had to pick up another bus like her, drive it 4 hours, unload everything into another bus, and finally got to our destination like 12 hours later. That was the first thing that happened. Then the next thing that happened was I got a skin infection from a cut that I got on the back of my leg. Then I got pickpocketed in one town in Czech Republic. And let's see, what else happened? Just other things that go on. The whole entire band got sick, and we all wound up bringing home damn COVID. Well, 3 of us out of the 4 got COVID on the last days there.
Didn't you lose a crown on a tooth as well?
Yeah, and I popped a daggum crown off a tooth. Well, I forgot about that. Yeah. And believe me, I'm just hitting the low spots. There was a lot more to it. There was a lot more stuff that went on, I'd have to think, but there was so much. I really should have kept a road diary on this one. And because it was the bad luck tour of bad luck tours. There's a guy over in Czech Republic named Michael Prokop, and he's like a legend there. He's a singer. And he said to me, he said, he's 77 years old, and we were doing some shows with him. And he said, man, I've never in my 77 years heard of a tour that had this much bad luck on it.
Well, at least you got it over with, right?
We did. We didn't miss any shows, and everything was good. And even with everybody getting sick, and it was one of them run and guns in a town for 12 hours, and then it's on to the next one. And we did have one stretch off where we didn't do nothing for 3 or 4 days, but I wound up being in the recording studio anyway. So,
well, now that you're back in the States, when you get the COVID behind you, what's on tap for Skinny Molly?
I'm going to be playing this weekend on Saturday night in Tennessee, which is a rarity. And we're playing at the Buffalo River Resort in Perry County. Then the following weekend, we're playing, and I believe it's the 7th. We're 7th and 8th. We're playing at Brian's Backyard Barbecue up in upstate New York. And then we've got a series that we do with these guys that I've known forever called Southern Rock Woodstock. And I believe that's the weekend after. There's 3 of those that we're on in different towns. It's a little movable festival, and he does real well with it. I believe it's southernrockwoodstock.com. There might be one in your area. We got one in North Carolina, one in Virginia. I think there's one in Maryland, and I believe they do one in Pennsylvania, but we're not on that one. We're doing 3 of the 4. But I think it's southernrockwoodstock.com if anybody's interested.
Where is the best place for your fans to keep up with news about the band and tour dates and what have you?
Well, it's be our website or our Facebook. Luke runs our Facebook. Our bass player, Luke Bradshaw, runs that with the help and assistance of a friend of ours. And our website is skinnymollyrocks.com. Our Facebook is facebook.com/SkinnyMolly. I've got an Instagram account for the band. If anybody wants to check it out, it's Skinny Molly Rocks Instagram. So, but the best place probably the website. And we've got some more coming up. We'll be around. We're supposed to go back to Europe in September, so I've got to get a bus between now and then.
When you're in Finland, be sure to check us out.
Yeah, man. That's awesome. Finland's one of my favorite places on the planet, man. It really is. Right now, it's about 23 hours of daylight over there right now.
We're also very popular in Saudi Arabia, and I really haven't figured that one out yet.
Who knows? Man, the net's magic. It can do anything.
Absolutely. Well, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day, especially since you're so under the weather.
I wish my voice didn't sound like this. I hope I'm genuinely a nice person.
A friend of mine once told me that COVID makes everyone sound like Danny Joe Brown. Be hard to argue with that, wouldn't it?
That's kind of hard to argue with. It is, yeah. Oh, God, that's funny.
Please stay in touch and keep us posted on any news with Skinny Molly. And for those of you that haven't had an opportunity to check out Skinny Molly yet, if you are a Southern rock fan, you will absolutely love what you hear. Would you say that Whiskey, Cocaine, and Blues is probably your all's biggest song?
It's one of them. But we get a lot of requests for that when we play live. There's a lot of people yell that one. As far as numbers is concerned, we got one called Two Good Wheels, and it's got like 400,000 plays on Spotify, and I ain't seen a nickel yet. So.
A guy I was interviewing said that if their newest song got 1,000 downloads, they could buy one sandwich and split it among the band. But I will leave you with this, Mike. But we were listening to buddy of mine and I were listening to Skinny Molly one night in a car, and we listened to Whiskey, Cocaine, and Blues. And he said, "I hate to admit this, but when I was in my 20s, that was my Christmas wish list."
Oh man, he's got a good sense of humor.
We're too old to get in trouble these days.
There you go. I'm with you.
Mike, thank you so much. And like I said, please stay in touch and keep us posted on everything going on with yourself and with Skinny Molly, and wish you a speedy recovery.
Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Take care. For this week's covers, we want to recommend a remake of the Beatles classic While My Guitar Gently Weeps, written by George Harrison. This version is by Toto on their 2003 album Live in Amsterdam. There is some wicked guitar work by Steve Lukather, and we think you'll really enjoy it. Give it a listen. We want to welcome back to the Southern Voice Rock Show the legendary Alan Walden. Alan, we are looking forward to another one of your great rock stories.
Did I tell the story about being in New York City? Blocked off every window, blocked off every door.
No.
They had us trapped in New York. We had 12 Hell's Angels. We are up there getting ready to go on a show. I remember one of the bands from Warner Robins had been the opening act, and they were out on the stage. When all of a sudden, these 3 Hell's Angels appear on the staircase coming towards our dressing room. These are huge guys. I'm talking about their necks are probably bigger than my waist, you know. I mean, they are huge giants. And there's 3 of them. One of them is bleeding profusely from the middle of his head where he had been hit by a car jack a few minutes earlier before they came into the building. Okay, now you got to deal with that kind of thing. I smart enough to say, I excused myself to get out of the room and let our roadies handle that, But they came in and they surrounded Huey, and I had gotten up to go over there if we had to get involved, And I'd taken Freddie Salem with me and a couple more. We were heading that way. Well, when I got to the doorway, one of the Hells Angels was so big I could see under his armpit to see if Huey was all right. And that's how big these guys were. This guy that's bleeding from the head, he's turned around and said, I just want to fuck somebody up. And he's smashing his fist into the other fist, under his palm. And this son is just crazy. He's crazy. He's fucked up. And just scared the shit out of us, Well, we get them out of the dressing room, and we start going downstairs to get with the security, see what the fuck we got to do. And these guys have a man over every door and every window where we can't get out. And the police have disappeared. They're not there to protect us,
You all were in the venue at the time.
Yeah, we were to Palladium, I believe. And we went ahead and played that night, and everything went okay. But the second night comes up, there's more of them than the ones that originally came. There's we are outnumbered. I had my wife and my daughter, who was only 3 or 4 years old, backstage with me. And when I looked to my left, and lo and behold, I'm standing to this very tall Hell's Angel. Okay, I'm talking about, whoa, and my wife and my daughter are on the other side of me, and I'm trying to figure out, do I grab my wife first or my child first, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get out of here. And anyway, went down the basement and had a meeting with them and told them, said, hey, it turns out that the president of the Hell's Angels, man, they are mad saying that in the song Angels Hide that we are insinuating that the Hell's Angels hide from the Outlaws motorcycle gang. That's what they interpreted out of our song. And it ain't nothing about the damn Hell's Angels, The song is about birds and trees and shit. It ain't got nothing about no damn motorcycle and all that in there. It's just totally insane that this song is discrediting the Outlaws, the motorcycle gang. Well, it turns out this guy's standing next to me. I start checking him out to see what we're up against here. He's about 6'2", 6'3". He's got on a good-looking leather jacket, manicured nails, hair brushed to a T, all his any silver and everything patched. He's a good-looking guy, Looks like one of the actors. And it turns out he sat there and listened to us play Angels High. Turned around and looked at me and says, man, sorry, my guys got out of hand last night. Said, I really am sorry it happened. And he left. And we never had to worry about the Hell's Angels ever again.
Wow.
They show up at dates and become our security and stuff like that. It was crazy.
You made your peace with the Hells Angels and went on and played, and everything was fine.
Well, I'm pretty good at smoothing fights over,
That kind of comes with the territory, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah, it does. If you're not willing to fight for what you got, you're going to lose it. You're dealing with guys that got like a 5-year-old mentality and a 250-pound body.
Right.
And you can't make a lot of sense out of it. And then we faced the Outlaws later on, and we ended up playing a date for them, and they became our buddy. So in other words, we ended up with 2 buddies, the Hells Angels and the Outlaws.
For this week's Hidden Gem, we want to introduce you to a well-kept secret, a 1986 album by a great Nashville band, Jason and the Scorchers, entitled Still Standing. has their biggest FM hit, Golden Ball and Chain, a remake of the Stones' 19th Nervous Breakdown, a great song called Ghost Town, and lots of other good stuff. This band was labeled as cowpunk and alt country, but I think you'll agree this album flat out rocks. We want to thank our guests Mike Estes and Alan Walden for their great rock stories, and we will look forward to seeing you again on the next episode of the Southern Voice Rock Show.